Hey YouTube, how y'all doing? I was not on the stage, my bad. We are on day 21. Excuse my appearance. I woke up from a nap, honey. Rejuvenated, revived. What are y'all doing? How y'all doing? We are on day 21 of the 29-day challenge. We are 8 days away from the finale. And it's coming quick. It's coming quick. Your girl's trying to hang in there. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to hang in there. I've been having a great time. I've been learning a lot with y'all. I think I've been experiencing a lot. And yeah, we're here. We're here. I'm super excited today. We're going to be doing a Bible study. Let's talk about love. This is part 3 of 1. If you haven't already, go watch part 1 and 2. I didn't even know this was going to be a thing when I started the series, but it only makes sense. You know, God has really been guiding me through this 29 days. So it's not 29 days yet, but through the 29 days. So we're on day 21. Niyah and S are supposed to be joining me. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Either way, we're here. And I'm so glad that you guys are joining me. 1 second. I'm just getting, y'all know what I got to do. I got to get all this stuff. I got to get all this stuff together. The month is almost gone, y'all. Like by this time next week, let me just look at my calendar before I start talking, okay? By this time next week, it'll be the 28th, and we'll be going into March. It's going to be a new month. All right, S is here. It's going to be a new month. S, I'm about to bring you up. Just 2 seconds. Okay, so we have only a couple more days. I'm going to give you guys some announcements so we can get ready to enter the new month. Okay, I'm so excited. So many good things are on the way for Queens Know. So I'm just excited for you guys and Queens Know as well. So the 25th, we're doing our virtual vision board. If you haven't already, get your tickets. They're on Eventbrite. And I have the link to all the things you need for your virtual prayer board on the Amazon, on my Amazon storefront, which is also on the Eventbrite. Okay. We're wrapping up Kishwari. Kishwari has been amazing. We have 8 more days. The month is not over. If you had any goals for this month, and it just doesn't seem like you're going to get there, don't give up. You still have days. You still have 24 hours in a day. There's so much you can get done and do, and so much that can still happen. Don't give up. Don't get wary. Am I saying that right? And yeah, it's go time. So I'm going to bring S up to the stage. S.
Yeah, I'm gonna be off camera today. What's good?
You're gonna be off camera today?
Yes, sir.
All right, that's fine. We just need your thoughts and what you think, okay? And reading scripture. So that's fine. Hopefully Niyah can join us too. 1 second.
Hey, you can't get nobody else up here?
Niyah is supposed to come up here. What do you mean? Like somebody else other than Niyah?
Yeah. No. Yeah.
On this short notice, maybe my sister. I can get my sister to come in. The one you was going in with in the Bible.
Her? Yeah. I like her. Bring her up here.
Hold on, I gotta see if she's available. You know what I'm saying? She just, you know what I'm saying? I'm available to you. Let me text her.
So was you gonna do this if we wasn't gonna be able to get on here?
Yeah, I am.
Or you just gonna do it by yourself?
I did. Yeah, this is part 3.
Oh.
So this is the 3rd time I'm doing a Bible study.
Oh, okay, cool.
All right, so I'm gonna get right into it because we're gonna be diving in. Let me just text my sister real quick. I was gonna see if y'all wanted to go on Instagram and then come on here, but we already here.
Them heathens don't want to hear the word anyway.
They're gonna hear it. So my idea is after the challenge, I'm gonna edit some of the live streams. It's gonna be a lot because we've done a lot, but I'm gonna try to edit them and try to repost them and get what people, get the conversation going and post them on my thing. Okay, so today we're gonna go into. We got to start with our day. Well, okay, how was your day? A scale of 1 to 10. 10 being the best day ever. Yeah. Don't say, oh my, excuse me. What'd you say?
I said, God is so good. Go ahead.
Oh, God is so good. That's what you had said. Okay, just making sure.
Yeah, I said.
Um,
I first said, "Oh my God," but then I realized he's so good. That's what. Yeah, the
mhm.
follow up.
All right, so tell us, as one to scale of 1 to 10, how was your day?
It's always gonna be a 10.
Okay, all
You want
right.
to ask me why?
Not really, but go ahead. Why?
Because I got breath in my body.
We love that. We love that. You know what? You know what Dave Ramsey says? My white uncle. He says. He says when you ask him how he's doing, he said better than I should be, and I love that. I feel like that's so humbling and so like, yeah, you're right, better than I should be.
Mm.
So I'm gonna start saying that. So you want to ask me my
Nah,
day?
I really don't care. Can we jump into the scripture? Like,
My
no, what's
day?
good?
My
How was
day?
your day?
No, you're not right. You ain't right. Okay, my day scale of 1 to 10, amazing. I say it's still 8.5. It was like yesterday, 8.5, but better than I should be. That's my response. Dave Ramsey. I've been listening to his podcast. If you don't already and you're like trying to build wealth and just be a better steward over your money and just figure out money. I feel like money is something that I'm learning more and more about, and I want to learn more about in this season. So if you don't have something that you listen to already or mentor, or you know, you're looking for
I got
more.
a Dane Ramsey book.
Say it again.
I have a Dane Ramsey book. I forgot what it's called, but it's to get out of debt. It's like a snowball effect thing.
Yes, yes, he has. He
Yeah,
has. He has many books though. He has a lot of books.
yeah, I read one. It's
But I
good.
think I know. I think I know the book you're talking about. Yeah, he is a man who has built his business off of the principles of the Bible. And he's not like, it's not like you're listening to him and he's saying like Jesus, 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 Jesus. He literally just talks about. You see the way I just said that? I bet you can't say it that fast. But no, he literally talks about principles of the Bible. Like he loves the Lord, but he literally is just showing you principles of the Bible and how you can apply it to your life to just win with money.
Oh, okay. That's
Yeah,
good.
that's my white uncle for real. That's really my uncle. That's why I think that's how I think every time I watch his name. All right, so today we talked about different types of love, and I feel like Joseph. This is the story of Joseph. Everybody kind of knows the story of Joseph, how his brothers sold him into slavery. It was kind of crazy. There's a lot of toxicity going on in Joseph's life. But I think it's important to talk about these stories when we're talking about love and we're doing this challenge of on love, because this is not a typical story that you would think would end in like triumph, or maybe you would think like, maybe God doesn't love Joseph. But the entire time that Joseph is going through these things in his life, God is with him. So we're gonna deep dive. I'm interested to hear what S thinks about some of the scripture, and then I'm gonna share too. So I'm gonna read, and then I'm gonna have S read in a different version. Or S, you want to actually read it?
No.
Yes.
Why are you gonna read and then read in a different version? How about you just read one version?
Okay, so then can you read the one version, please? Thank you.
Okay. I gotta get off.
You got a what? Hello.
Yeah. What am I starting the first verse?
We're starting on Genesis 38.
You want me to read the whole story?
Mhm. It's only one through. Okay, you can read half. I'll read half. It's 1 through 30. So you can read 15. I'll read 15 to 30. 1 to 15. I'll do 15 to 30. Because you don't want to read
Okay.
them. It's not a whole story. It's just one. It's a couple. No, wait.
It's not Genesis
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
39.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's Genesis 39. And it's not long at all. Okay. It's actually shorter than that. It's up to 23. So you can read the whole thing, 1 to 23.
All right, hold on. Give me a second.
Sorry, y'all. I need something sweet, and popsicle is the only thing I could grab so I could be on time for the stream. Okay? I just text my sister, she ain't answer. I can't hear you. Hello? Oh, you're on
Yeah,
mute.
I'm here. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, let me. Okay, now Joseph, who had been brought down to Egypt, and Potiphar, and an officer of Pharaoh, the captain of the guard, an Egyptian, had brought him from the Ishmaelites who had brought him down there. The
Okay,
Lord
wait.
was with.
Can you? All right. I was gonna say, should we stop and explain? But okay, go ahead.
I mean, we can wrap. I mean, you could pretty much make a long story short.
We can. Can we do it as you read, or do you want to?
I mean, I think we should read it and then explain.
Okay. Go ahead.
The Lord was with Joseph and became a successful man, and he was in the house of the Egyptian master. His master saw that the Lord was with him and that the Lord caused all that he had did to succeed in his hands.
Mm,
So Joseph found favor in his sight and attended him, and he made him overseer of his house and put him in charge of all that he had.
mm,
From the time he had made him overseer in his house and over all that he had, the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake. The
mm,
blessing of the Lord was all that he had in the house and field. So he left all that he had in Joseph's charge, and because of him, he had no concern about anything but the food he ate. Now Joseph was handsome in the form and appearance,
come on, Joseph.
like your boy. And
Uh,
after,
That's me. Please can stick to the scripture,
okay,
please.
I'm sorry. And after a time,
God, no.
And
No.
after a time, his master's wife cast her eyes on Joseph and said, "Lie with me."
Mm,
But he refused and said to his master's wife, "Behold, because of me and my master has no concern about anything in the house, and he has put everything that he has in my charge,
mm-hmm,
he is not greater in this house than I am,
mm.
nor has he kept back anything from me except you,
Come on.
because you are his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God?"
Wow.
And as she spoke to Joseph day after day, he would
Mm,
not listen to her, to lie beside her, or to be with her.
mm,
But one day, when he went into the house to do his work, and none of the men of the house was there in the house, she
mm,
caught him by his garment, saying, "Lie with me." But he left his garment in her hand and fled and got out the house. And as soon as she saw that he had left his garment in her hand and fled out the house, she called to the men of her household and said to them, "See, he has brought among us a Hebrew to laugh at us. He came into me to lie with me, and I cried out with a loud voice. And as soon as he heard that I lifted up my voice and cried out, he left his garment beside me and fled and got out the house." When she laid up his garment by her until his master came home, she told him the same story, saying, "The Hebrew servant whom have brought among us came into me to laugh at me.
mm,
But as soon as I lifted up my voice and cried, he left his garment beside me and fled out of the house." As soon as his master heard the words that his wife spoke to him, "This is the way your servant treated me," his anger was kindled.
mm,
And Joseph's master took him and put him into prison, the place where the king's prisoners were confined, and he was there in prison. But the Lord was with Joseph and showed him steadfast love and gave him favor in the sight of the keepers of the prison.
mm,
And the keeper of the prison put Joseph in charge of all the prisoners who were in prison.
mm.
Whatever was done there, he was the one who did it. The keeper of the prison paid no attention to anything that was in Joseph's charge, because the Lord was with him, and whatever he did, the Lord made it succeed.
So good. That's good.
Thank you,
That's the
Jesus.
Bible. Thank you for reading that. Amen. Amen.
Sorry.
So let's the first part, Joseph, the beginning of this thing, and you can of course add and give your viewpoint, but Joseph is being brought into places where he really didn't plan for in his life. Can you agree with that?
Yeah.
You,
So, yep. So I'll let you go ahead.
yeah.
Hmm.
So the first part of this, it gives you instructions. It's telling you, listen, Joseph had been taken down to Egypt. Potiphar, a man of influence, someone in the community, right? We talked about the importance of community yesterday, right? So here is this man in the community who is not Joseph's family or relative, but a man of influence, right? Who um who had taken him in, who had taken Joseph in to work with him. It doesn't say that this man was a man of God. It doesn't say, the Lord. You know what I mean? It doesn't say none of
Right.
that. It says that this is what Joseph was brought into. Now, one thing that stuck out to me when I was reading this and digesting this and trying to understand more is like God was with Joseph this entire time. Even though I feel like outside looking in, I feel like Joseph, I'm like, who loves Joseph? I'm sure Joseph had some insecurities, like what's going on. But it says here in verse 2, even after if you read verse chapter 38, because I always like to read the chapters beforehand. If you read chapter 38 and the next chapter over for 40, it don't look like God is with Joseph. But every time, every turn Joseph is making, we're being reminded that God is with him. So my question I want to ask and like pose is like, what does it look like when God is with you? Like, what is it that not only the text is saying that, but now people who don't know who God is know that God is with Joseph?
Right. So are you asking me that question?
I'm asking you. Yeah, I'm asking you. I'm talking to you. We're talking.
Okay. Well, in this case of Joseph, if I just want to give a little backstory,
Okay, go ahead.
Joseph had 11 brothers,
Mm-hmm.
right? And Joseph would often tell dreams to his brothers that one day they would bow down to him and they would worship him and so on and so on. And his
Mm-hmm.
brothers didn't like that. So one day they decided to sell Joseph, sell him off because they didn't like what they were hearing. Like, let's get rid of this brother.
Crazy.
But they didn't know that God was not only preserving Joseph, but he was also preserving their family for an outcome that they didn't see at that time.
Right.
So as they were casting him away, God was really preserving them because a famine had came and they had to go to Egypt.
Right.
And guess who they run into?
That's the chapter after this one, right? I think it's the next
No,
chapter.
that's before because we got it. That's how he got to Egypt, right?
No, the famine didn't happen yet. You said that you're talking about the famine. The famine happens after this Potiphar situation. The famine didn't take place yet.
No, so he's not in Egypt yet.
No, he's in Egypt, but he's not the
But how
famine.
did he get to Egypt?
He was sold. He was sold. But the
Okay,
famine,
okay, it didn't happen yet. Okay, so I guess I
no,
went
no.
too
But
far. I'm sorry.
you're on the right point. The famine is gonna happen, and
Right.
the
Okay.
Lord is preserving the family. Yeah, but it didn't
Right.
happen.
Right.
It's happening after this chapter. Go ahead. Go.
Right. So Joseph. So we're looking at, oftentimes we can correlate this to life. We are in situations where we think God is not with us, or
Exactly.
we
Yes.
don't. Why am I here? Or why do you have me here, God? And what's going on here? This not the
Right.
destination I plan to be in. So
Right.
we question Him, but like God said, my ways and your ways is not the same, and the things I
Mhm.
look at and you look at is completely different. So in
Right.
that case here, I'm thinking Joseph probably is asking why, but he's
Right.
not knowing that God has a special place and a special thing for him and his family. So when you ask that question, to get back to your questions, I
Right.
think
What
sometimes
are
we
some
can,
ways? What are some ways? Do you
some
remember
ways of what?
what are some ways that someone might be able to tell that the Lord is with us, even though we're like in a Joseph situation? You know what I mean? We're in a situation where it doesn't really, the odds are against us. It don't even make sense sometimes. Like,
Well,
what are some? Go ahead.
I
Go
mean,
ahead.
to be honest, I can't say some of the ways because some of the ways you might not know. You
Hmm.
don't know why he has you in a certain situation. There's many times you think God forsook you. Like even when Jesus on the cross, he thought God wasn't there with him no more.
Right.
So in certain situations, you might feel the same way. So you might not know he's there with you. I think he is there with you, but you don't know. But that's why you serve him because you have to trust in his will and what his plan he has for you.
Right.
So I can't give you certain situations to know whether he's with you or not. I think if you serve him, you know he said, I will never forsake you. even though wherever you in, whatever you're in, you might not feel like it, but that's his word, and he has to stand by it, and he can't lie.
Yep.
So, I mean, I don't know what your situation might be different. I don't know. You just have to trust and believe that he's with you. That's my answer.
That's good. That's real good. My answer, I'm the type of person too. And when I was reading this, I was kind of like, okay, God, but what is why would you keep saying that you're with him? Like, why you keep telling, reminding us? Like, we know you're here, but it's looking real crazy right now. One of the things that kept coming to my mind is like, despite what you go through, you're still trying. You're still showing up every day. You know, it said that Joseph was handsome. How would they, if somebody's selling you to slavery, you're not thinking, oh, this man look good. It's because, Joseph had to have kept himself up. You know what I mean? His stature, his build. God designed him to look how he looked, right? That's how we know God is with him. How can this woman who has one of the highest ranked people in Egypt, right? The guy is successful. He has home, he has a house, he has maids, clearly, he has servants, he has slaves, and she still was checking for Joseph. That's a clear indication God's hand is God was with Joseph. Like, you know what I'm saying? Um, but when I think about how Joseph, every time he fell into this situation of kind of, could be easy for Joseph to become a victim, but he chose to be a victor, right? He was successful in everything and the things that his hands were upon was successful. He was a leader, right? We know that God is a king. He's a king of kings. He's leading us, right? These are the characteristics on him. Something else that showed that God was with Joseph, I think, the success. Every time it kept bringing that up, even though Joseph are in these, I feel like even society, these situations that do not look like success. You know what I mean? The Lord
Yeah,
gave.
I got what you're saying, and I can say that too. But as the story starts to play out, you can see that God was with him. But I'm sure when that woman was trying to hit on him and lied about him, and he was thrown into prison,
Right,
he probably didn't feel that way at the time.
right, right.
But as the things start to play out, God had God had him in prison for a certain reason. So when the woman tried to lie on him, if you read more of the story, he
Yeah,
was thrown into an Egyptian prison. And if people don't know, Joseph can interpret dreams.
his gift. Yeah, he had a
So
gift.
he can interpret dreams. So while he was in there, just like he was at that rich, just like he was at, what's the guy name? What's his Potter?
Potiphar, the Egyptian.
Potiphar, just like at Potiphar house, and he was in control of that. When he got in prison, he was in control of that as well.
Right.
They didn't even bother him.
That's true.
So God gave him favor even in a place of discomfort.
Yeah, I think that's a huge sign. You just hit it. Like, when you have favor, I
Yeah.
think I've been through so much things in my life, in my own personal life, that maybe didn't seem like I was taking the right direction, compared to my other siblings. I'm the youngest of five. So my siblings are, they're intelligent people, strong, hardworking child. I did not take the traditional route for a lot of things. And I feel like in hindsight, now that I'm like looking back again, because as was talking about that, like sometimes you can't even see it while you're in it. But if I look back, I'm like, wow, like I really had favor in all those situations. I had favor in those situations because my outcome wasn't like everybody else's. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
I benefited from situations that maybe you're not even supposed to benefit from, and somehow I got something from it, like that other people didn't get. So yeah, that's real good. That's real good.
But not only that though. And I want to touch on this part too. Um, let me just find out where hold on.
Go ahead.
Da.
After we go to this part, oh, this is
Yeah,
what I
let me.
want to say too. Go ahead though.
Okay, let me. Okay, so what? Not only that, if you read the story, I can't find it right now. I'm sure I can just go back and I don't know. Let me just.
What is it? What is it that you're looking for? What happened?
Okay, I could just say it because I read it and I pretty much know the story. But
Right.
Joseph, people got to realize too is that Joseph put God first. because when she asked him to lie with her, he
Oh
said,
yeah,
"How can I commit this great sin against God?"
he had
So
integrity.
he put God first.
He did
So
right.
God had to reward him because he looked at him like, I this is I'm committing this against God. Yes, I probably want to do it, but this is something that's not godly.
Hmm.
And because of that, he put God first. You can see that he was rewarded.
Yeah.
He got kicked out the house, but he was rewarded. Probably lost everything that was in that man's house. But when
Right.
he got into prison, and if you read the next chapter,
Mm-hmm.
he was able to interpret dreams for the Pharaoh, and he became head of that household. He started to rise up in that household. And the
Right.
only reason why he was able to do that is because he interpreted the dreams of his servants, the ones that were in prison.
Yeah.
The God preserved them. Every step he made, he preserved them for something next, something greater. He preserved them. But in that time, I'm sure Joseph didn't see what was going on.
Yeah. That's
But
good. That's real good. If y'all get a chance, if y'all watching the replay after this, make sure y'all read. Honestly, just read the chapters before. It's good. It just gives you even more information, and I feel like more hindsight and revelation on like what Joseph's life was like and how it could pertain to you. Like I just feel like you can benefit from reading the story of Joseph. So one thing I wanted to mention too, because we had mentioned yesterday the importance of community and how like being around certain people help mold you, right? As was talking about accountability and being around people that are honest and true. I feel like when you get around God, like Joseph was what's it called? What did you just said he was with God? He was I forgot the word you said.
preserved?
No, no. He put God first, right? So Joseph had
Right.
a relationship with God. And when you come into contact with God, I feel like when you have a relationship with God, then he begins to you have I feel like he begins to you begin to be more like him, right? Of course we could never reach that point of like, whatever, but it's like you desire to be more like God and he gives you these fruits and these gifts, right? That people can begin to see. So I want us to go to verse 3 in the Bible where it says chapter 39, it says, when his master saw that the Lord was with him and that the Lord gave him success in everything he did. So the Lord was with Joseph, that he could go, that he prospered, and he lived in the house of his Egyptian master. So Joseph isn't underneath someone, a submission, but he's working for this man. And as he's working for his master, the master saw that the Lord was with him and that the Lord gave him success in everything he did. I feel like
Right.
when you get close to God in your life, people will be people who don't even know God. Remember, he's an Egyptian. They got the Egyptians got gods, lowercase g with an S. And this man can see that the Lord was with Joseph. I
Right.
think as children of God, we have to remember that we have that. We have that, regardless of what our situation looks like, our dynamics, our families that we come from. People can see who God is in your life. And they want to be around that. They may not want to serve your God, right? There's been plenty of people who I've met in my life who they don't quote unquote want to do anything with God or the church, or they feel like God is this. They don't really know God. I could tell even in conversation, they don't really have a real understanding for God. But when they get around me, they're interested in the God that I'm serving. You know what I mean? Or they're seeing
Right.
and they're like, yo, the God okay, God is real for you, huh? But it's just like they don't believe it for themselves. So I think it's just so important in our lives to remember that. Like people can see God in us.
And
When we
you can also tell that he had favor too, because you can even look how his wife talks about a Hebrew. It's like in a disgusting way. He brought
what verse is that? What verse is that?
when she said he brought this Hebrew in our house.
Where's that? I'm trying to find it. I know
Oh,
you. I
I
know
got you right here.
you.
Hold on.
She did call him Hebrew. I didn't even see that.
Yeah,
I see that you said it. Look, she said, this Hebrew has been brought to us to make sport of us.
right. So it was like that the Hebrews already looked down upon.
Ooh.
He
What is
was
that?
already looked down upon. So for him to be able to go in that man's household and get favor as a Hebrew was already showing that he had. that God was with him, because
Mm,
Hebrews seemed like they was an outcast.
right. I'm sorry. I want to go see what that thing means when she's
Right
saying.
here, when it says she called them into her household, see, he has brought among us a Hebrew to laugh at us.
She called upon him and spoke of seeing he had brought to mock us. So let me just look. I want to see the biblical version, biblical meaning to mock. Yeah, to mock means
It
to
means to
laugh,
laugh.
play, yeah, jest, sport, to make sport. Okay, I just wanted to confirm. Wow.
You would have to look up what Hebrew and Egyptian at that time, what their conflict was, because just in Jesus' time, Samaritans and Jews did not get along.
Right.
So that's why when Jesus had asked that woman to drink, she was surprised because she knew them two didn't get along. So you would have to also correlate Hebrews and Egyptians at the time. Obviously, Hebrews, I think, were slaves.
I guess in certain areas they had to have been like right. How would his
They
brother?
have they were, yeah, Egyptians, the
Yeah,
Hebrews were slaves. Because wasn't Moses a Hebrew?
yeah, but we not in Moses. We're not in that.
But no, but Moses comes after. But you can tell after that the Hebrews were slaves at that time.
Right,
Or
right.
they wasn't, they were looked down upon.
Yeah. I'm just thinking like where Joseph and his brothers was living. Obviously, they weren't slaves there, but it's like
Yeah, they weren't slaves there, but you got to realize, yeah, that he was, he's coming to somewhere that's foreign.
right, and they taken them as slaves.
Right, right.
So okay, this was another question that I kind of wanted to kind of have conversation about was like, you know, love isn't always what we think love is, right? And I want to talk about like, what is something in this story that we can pick apart that maybe it might not seem as love. And I feel like we kind of talked about this, but it's okay. We could talk. I want to ask this question. What's something in the story that may not seem as love, but ultimately because of the story of Joseph, we know that it was love, right? Because God is love, right? So what's something that we could take from this, like Joseph's life, and say that this is love, but it doesn't have to look like it. That question make sense to y'all?
Yeah, I think I got what you're saying, but in this particular story, the you don't see the love until it's played out and put together. And this story is like pieces of puzzles, and
Hmm.
you have to put it together to see that God loved Joseph. But I don't think you can. I'm trying to put myself, if I'm in Joseph's shoes, to see where the love will be at in the situation until everything starts to play out. I think Joseph would, you probably even have to look back and say, I went from here to there. When I was in prison, God made me. I was in this man's household, and he gave me everything, and I was in control of everything. Then the devil tried to come and disturb things, and I was thrown into prison. And then when I got into prison, God gave me favor and shown me love that, I was head over that, and anything I wanted to do, even in a situation that was bad, He still loved me and was able
Right.
for me to rise on top. And then once I got out of prison, I went to Pharaoh's house. Like, you know what I mean? I don't think you can find love in that particular situation until after everything is set back and you can look back upon it.
You just took my answer.
Oh,
Like
okay.
when I know that's the answer I was gonna say. The part where I feel like in this chapter alone, right? Because we're on 39. I don't know. It just like it keeps popping out to me, the fact that God was with him. And I keep thinking of, okay, well, if you're with God, if you're with him, what does that mean? What does that even look like? What does that say? And I think that's a reminder, if I'm with you, then you're loved, you're taken care of, you're provided. Like there's different, I feel like
Right.
there's a wholeness for love, right? There's a love isn't just love, right? It's love is, these actions within it. And Joseph, even though the outcome, this woman lied on him, and he wasn't supposed to be a slave. His brothers that were supposed to love him, You know what I mean? This woman who was supposed to be the wife of in that household, who was supposed to be a woman of integrity, but wasn't, um, ended up putting him in what seemed like a worse situation. But I believe, like, because of God's love, Joseph was good. It said while Joseph was there in the prison, this is verse 20. While Joseph was there in the prison, the Lord was with him. Y'all, I'm telling y'all, I was reading this and I'm like, why are you saying that? Why is that sticking out to me? Right? I feel like sometimes when I'm reading the scripture, how God will point something out is when the words are like coming out of the pages, and I feel it. Like I feel it. I'm like, what's going on? What is this? But it's like the Lord was with Joseph. When I see that, I feel like God is like, well, who am I? Put the different names of who I am in there. If I'm love, if I'm patience, then that's what was with Joseph, right? We talk about favor, and Joseph had that. He had favor. So the Lord was with him. He showed him kindness and granted him favor in the eyes of the warden. So the things that Joseph was able to receive was the things that the characteristics of God, right? Kindness, and he was granted favor. I think there's a verse that talks about, correct me if I'm wrong, I think there's a verse that says, um Lord, give me, somebody's like asking God, it's like a prayer, maybe Psalms, but somebody's like, grant me favor with God and man, right? That's what somebody's request was. And then the next couple verses, I think God is like, he granted that person that favor with him and man. um
Mm.
So the one put Joseph in charge of all things, and he made him responsible for all the things that were done. So I think about that too. Like now Joseph is in charge again. This is not something that's new to Joseph. Joseph was already in charge in Potiphar's house. And now this, because he has those same skills and that same favor, and God is with him, even though he's in a situation that's probably deemed as lower than his first position, right? He's in the prison now. Um, he's not like everyone else. He's exempted, right? You think about anybody who's in charge of anything. If he's in charge of the snacks, right? Let's think about like prison nowadays, 2024. If he's in charge of the of what's that thing called? Sorry. Like the prison,
Commissary?
yeah, the commissary. If he's in charge, thank you. If
Because
he's in
I did 2 years, so I know. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You never did 2 years, as shut up. Listen, if he's in charge of commissary, that means he can pick off a couple snacks if he needs to. He's eating good, right? He might not have to go. He's in the same prison as everyone else, but he's not having the same experience as everyone else.
Right, right,
And I
right.
feel like that's what we are as God's children, right? Nowadays in 2024, even the aspect of dating and how we're talking about, men need this and that, and women, it's crazy out here. Like just the conversation alone with dating in 2024 is stressful. I don't like I don't like it. I don't like it. But what I realize is that as children of God, you don't have to deal with the same things that everybody else is going through. You know what I mean? You don't have to. You might be in the same earth, right? And you might be seeing these things and kind of watching people have these experiences. But when God is with you, no matter what it looks like, you don't have to. You don't have to have the same experiences. You know what I mean? He can put you in a position where you are the one that's leading, even if it's in a prison. Which is, think about that. You're caged in. It's not. There's nothing good about being in prison, child. But
Yeah, everything, and let you know everything bad ain't bad.
right. That's the same thing he talks about when he says, in why I can't think of the verse right now. Jeremiah, I know that the plans I have for you, says the Lord, um, plans to prosper you and not to harm you. But
People don't realize when he wrote that letter, they were in bondage.
who is what letter? The Jeremiah?
Yeah, that verse, if you read it, there
Yeah.
he's they just been in captivity. They just went into captivity, and a letter was wrote.
So they were slaves.
Yeah, they were slaves, and a letter was wrote, and that was what the God was saying, that I had plans for you, but because you were so disobedient, yeah, you got to read its context behind that. It's just not, people just think, yeah, that was a letter wrote to them in captivity.
Mm. Yeah. I think Time and time again, like even you talking about that part, like time and time again, we fall short. These people, God gave these people chance after chance after chance. And he's so good. He's so great in that aspect because we don't deserve none of the chances we be getting. Sorry, y'all. We don't be deserving none of the chances we be getting, but we definitely be getting them. Naya is not silenced. Hopefully Naya could pull up. Ask tell Naya to pull up. But yeah, so that's one of the questions I have for chapter 39. What else was the next one? The next question I had. I think Martine is here with us. Hey Martine, if that's you. Hey girl, hey. Um oh, I wanted to talk about the I wanted to talk about the importance of doing the right thing even when no one's looking. So there's a trend going on. I don't know if you're familiar with this S right now, but there's a trend going on where parents are having their kids go to the bathroom, and while they're in the bathroom, basically the parents like, you can cuss, you won't get in trouble. This is the only place that you could say swears, but go in this bathroom, and the parents are like recording their child to see what they're gonna do when they close the door. So the parents put the kid in the bathroom, the phone is recording, and they close the door. And some of these kids are cussing and swearing and saying all types of stuff. But a lot of kids, which I don't think anybody really expected, didn't do the swearing. Some of them even said, "My mommy said I could, but I'm not going to because it's not right." And I'm like, look at this. We adults are over here doing this dumb trend. First of all, I think the trend is dumb. That's in my opinion. But like the kids have more sense than the adults in that situation, just to know, even though my mother said I could, because I know it's not right, I'm not gonna do it. And it's a trend that's on TikTok. I don't know if it's on Instagram yet, but I know it's gonna make its way. But what are your thoughts about that trend? As what do you think?
I mean, um, to be honest, I mean, they always come out with a new trend, but I mean, I guess that's good, I guess, because that's really what counts is when nobody's looking. Yeah, I
Right.
mean, people
So,
think, but God is always looking. So you
mm-hmm.
know, man, not man might not see what you do, but God eyes is go to and forth this earth. So I mean, that's the only eyes to. I wouldn't say that should matter, but it is. But yeah, I think those are really the only eyes that matter.
No, it's
Is
true.
to make sure that what you're doing is pleasable to Him. Because you could
Yeah,
please the world, but you could please the world, but if you ain't pleasing Him in His eyes, then it's all in vain. So those are the eyes that really matter. So what you do in the dark, like they said, will eventually come to light, and sometimes it don't come to light. But God sees it all, so
right.
you can't hide nothing from Him. You can hide stuff from man. So
That's good. Listen,
hip hip hooray!
S is preaching today, y'all. He's doing real good. He's explaining stuff real good, and everything he just said, I think
I'm a
is
preacher. You ain't know that? They anointed me. Okay, I'm sorry.
everything that he was saying is good. Like, and it even ties to the reason why I brought that trend up is because in this instant, Joseph, it says in verse 6 and 7 and 8. Now Joseph was built, well built and handsome. So Joseph knew he looked good. He wandered around the house. The girl is saying, "Come to bed with me." The master's wife noticed Joseph. So she took an eye to him. And this is not something that just happened one time, y'all. It says it happened time and time again. Let me see. Master withheld from me nothing because you are his wife. Da, 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 da. And although day after day. So okay, in verse 10 it said, although she spoke to Joseph day after day, he refused to go to bed with her. So there was probably plenty of times and opportunity when the master wasn't there, when the maids wasn't there, where Joseph could have just did his thing. He could have did his thing. I'm imagining if this lady is the master's wife, she's not looking bad. She don't look too bad. You know what I'm saying? And there's plenty of times it says day after day, this woman tried to sleep with this man. She said, come lay with me, over and over again. And Joseph, after everything he'd been through in his life, right? His brothers on him being this. Look, he been through a lot. He could have took this opportunity, like, you know what? Let me just enjoy life for this one bit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Let me just bite the apple.
Right. That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm so intrigued in this verse 9, what comes out of his mouth. Because even though it was just them two in the house,
And he could have did it. He could have
he
got
could have
away.
he could have did it and just go back to the kids in the bathroom. But I mean, they was being secretly recorded. But in Joseph, it's like, no, nobody, no other man is in his household, but God sees us.
Woo! Listen, this is the thing. This is what the Bible talks
That's the
about.
first thing he said. He
But
said, how then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God? No, no man is in his house, but God sees us. He sees the sin I'm about to commit if I do this.
the first thing in wisdom is to acknowledge God, to fear God, to know that God is there. That's the first part, one of the first parts of wisdom. I was reading that in Proverbs today.
Yeah, the
Coincidence, but
the fear of God is
continue
wisdom.
reading the what'd you say, verse 9?
Yeah, if you read verse 9, and it says, he that, I mean, this is in King Version now.
Yeah,
He
that's
says, how
fine.
then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God? So it's nobody, now mind you, nobody's in the household.
Nobody is there.
Nobody, no man would have saw them.
Mm,
So he didn't really care about man's eyes. I'm
yeah,
sure he did, but it was for him, it was more of this sin is against God. This is not right. So
right.
I mean, I
Yeah.
don't even know. I can put that, correlate that toward the kids, but I don't think they know of God yet. They just know what's right and wrong.
So there was one kid, and I think you're right. Most of the kids didn't, but there was one kid who
Yeah.
brought up God's name, and I was like, I got goosebumps. 'Cause I'm like, dang, this little kid, what? He was like, oh no, that's not something God. He didn't even mention his parent. He said that's not something God would want me to do. I don't want to sin against God. And I was like, what? And these are kids, these are babies. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
who knows what he'll end up being? But I think the fact that, and just to, I think the fact that Joseph acknowledged God in that situation, and he was standing in his integrity, because integrity is not something like, okay, how do we know you're integrous? Not when the crowd is watching. It's in moments where, you know what I mean, you have an option to do what you want to do or do what the right thing is to do. um
Right.
in
Right.
that instance, I feel like Joseph, he remained, God remained with him because of these decisions he kept continuing to make to acknowledge God, um, and keep showing up.
Yeah, I think he's seen the sincerity that he had. That
Yeah.
it was like, wow, like Joseph, you could have committed this because nobody would have seen you. Nobody would have called on. Like if
No.
they would have knocked boots, no men was in the house.
Right.
But his, like I said, his sincerity and who he served and what he believed in, he didn't do it. So I felt like God just had to bless him because he seen that his heart was pure.
Yeah. I think that goes into another thing too. Like, I feel like if God can trust you with a small thing, right? Like that, then he'll trust you with the big thing. I think that test that Joseph passed allowed him, again, this is just something I'm just feeling in my heart. It doesn't say this anywhere, but I feel like that's passing that test allowed him to go to the prison to then go to the palace. Because once Joseph is in the situation of prison, right? God trusts him with dreams. He trusts him again to interpret dreams. And even when he was interpreting the dreams, he kept saying, but it's God who gives dreams. So why wouldn't I be able to understand? If I'm cool with God and he's my father and we have this relationship, I can just go to him and get this interpretation. You don't have to stress yourself about the dream. In the next chapter, he's talking to the prisoners that happen to be workers of the king of Egypt.
Right.
And in that instance, he's again acknowledging God, even though Joseph does have the dream, right? He has the dream. He had the dream. He told his brothers the dreams. He could take ownership of the dreams at this point, but he still is acknowledging God. And because he was trusted with that test, the next stop for Joseph, no matter what, no matter everything, no matter what he went through in the past, it was the palace. But I think he
Right.
had to pass these tests to get there.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I think so. The reason why I didn't even think that this story was a had to do with love because of how jacked up Joseph's situation was in the beginning. And I just assumed that maybe I would be led to read the final story of Joseph because that's more like love. Like, okay, he's forgiving his brothers, everything is working out. But I feel like, God was intentional with having me read in the middle of his story because in the middle, people don't really talk about that, but that's everything Joseph went through and how he was able to overcome is love. I think as
Right.
you brought up an important part. Even Jesus was like, "God, why have you forsaken me?" But we know God loved. We knew that
Right.
God was
I
loving.
think
Jesus was fulfilling the greatest love of them all, sacrificing His life for us. But go ahead, sorry.
right. I think people confuse love as just it being a something that like it's a great feeling. It's not a I don't think it's love is just a great feeling. Love is hard sometimes. God said I chastise those that I love. If I don't tell you the truth, I don't love you. If I don't give you the truth to you, like how? If I love you, I want you to do better. So in many situations in the Bible, there's situations people been in, and it looks like it's a terrible situation, but it's really just God's love, and it's for a reason.
Yeah,
It's a greater outcome. You might not see it right now, but it's love that He's doing it. That's why I say He loved the world so much He gave His only begotten Son. He had to slain His own Son for us. You would think that's terrible.
yeah. Have you ever watched The Passion of Christ? I'm sorry.
Yeah, of course.
Listen, booger crying. I'm like, this. There had to be another way.
Therefore, God so loved the world, He gave His only begotten Son.
Yeah,
That's you know what I mean. That's love, and it's like for what? For humanity.
yeah, for us,
So
you
you
and
would think
me.
that's terrible, but I mean, like I said, God thoughts, our thoughts, and His thoughts are not the same. So what we
Yeah,
might look at as terrible, He might look at something completely different. So
right. That's so good. I love that you said that. Love doesn't always feel good, right? But you want the
no,
best for the person. Like I know for me too. Like I thought for me, and this is me. This is safe space now. This is safe space. But I thought like if someone loves you, then they'll coddle you or they'll tell you things
mm
you want to hear, and
mm
they'll tell you only what you need to hear. But as I'm growing on my walk with God in this relationship, I do myself a disservice and the people around me if I can't be honest with you.
right,
And I
because
can't tell you that what you're doing is not only detrimental to me, but like to other people because you're functioning in this way that is not it, because I love you, I don't want to see you continue to move in this direction, right? And that's what love is. It's not always it being able to have the best conversations. It's not always happy go lucky, which I mean, what's that called? What is that called?
romantic.
Yeah, I'm a romantic. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was gonna say romanticize. That's what I was trying to say, romanticize. But like, no, I'm a romantic, but it's love, and that's something I'm grateful that God is teaching me. I'm still learning, but like being able to have tough conversations, but with love and compassion and really just being truthful, being honest.
Yeah, that's what love is. Love is truthful, whether somebody likes it or not. That's love because you want somebody to do better. Like if you walk out your house and your hair is messed up and I don't say anything to you and I say I love you, I can't. Because how can I let you walk out there if you're not going to do better? I want you to look better.
Right. Yeah. I
When
think
somebody don't, you know what I mean? When somebody don't hold, they nah. We look at God love and how we look at love is completely
it's
different.
not. Yeah. I think again, you're absolutely right. Like you love somebody, you want the best for them. and the best doesn't always feel good.
Mm-mm.
Right? That's
I,
always talking about accountability all the time. And
I don't think love is a feeling. I think love is a choice.
I agree with that, but I also feel like there are some feelings attached with love, right? Because even when I'm in a situation where I'm seeking God out, I might be coming to God for one thing, but I always end up feeling like this feeling of love, like this feeling, this overwhelming feeling of love. But it's not like you said, it's not an earthly thing. I can't find the thing that I experience with God with man. Like I get little glimpse of it where with my parents or certain things, but when I want to feel the fullness, some those experiences, I don't even know how to explain it. Like I don't even know what I'm even saying right now because it's hard to explain. But I think the closest thing to it is the covenant of marriage. And that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day. But yeah, that's just based on his word, a man loving on his wife, proposing to his wife, being a husband is an example of God's love for us. So um yeah. Yeah, this love challenge has challenged me, y'all. I know I'm just showing up every day and doing different things, but every day I'm learning something new. I appreciate you, S, for coming on here and always being honest, even though I don't be liking to hear some of the things you have to say. But I appreciate your honesty and I appreciate your delivery of the word and like what you got from the story and just spending time with me on this Wednesday because you was here with us yesterday. So
For sure. Who this? Comments.
Martine, she said, praise God, a young man and woman laying it down. Thanks. Yes, yes,
How
yes.
long she been in here? She wasn't in here long, was she?
I think she was here. Martine, were you here the whole time?
I think she just got in here.
No, I think she was here. Martine is usually in here, trust me. We'll wait for her to respond. But yeah, this was really good. Um, I like sharing as I'm learning. Nowhere near perfect, but I'm progressing. That's it. Day by day, little by little, God is doing his thing with me. Okay, she said she got here
That's
at 8
good.
p.m.
Just,
LOL. Anything else you want to leave for the people to marinate on? I think y'all should definitely wait before S goes and talks and closes us out. I think y'all should definitely take time to read 38 and 40 and 41. Just read Joseph's story. It's good, y'all. If you like juicy stuff, like juicy stories, it's really good. Joseph's story is a really, really good story to read. And I feel like it's a good place to start. But all right, S, what do you want to say to close us out?
I mean, I just say that, everything bad ain't bad. Um, a temporary destination is not a final destination, as you can see with Joseph's story, and as you read more of it, you can see that God was preserving him. God was always was right beside him, even though he might not seen it. And it's just the same with us. Whatever situation you in, you might feel like God forsake you, or he ain't there, he ain't talking to you, he ain't moving. But like he said in his word, I'll never forsake you, even to the end of the world. So God will
Mhm.
always be there with you. Just gotta know he's there and continue pushing on.
That's
Continue keeping on.
mic drop. That was good, S. I'm proud of you, S.
I'm
This
trying to tell you, this is what I do. I could be
We
in
need you
preaching.
to, we need you to do it more often then so we can see that. How we know that's what you do if you don't do it?
What I'm supposed to do it on IG? And
Yeah.
he said, he that has an ear, let him hear.
Listen, we could do it after. We could do it after on IG. It's a little we can't do too long though, because I got to go.
Yeah, I got nah, the heathens ain't ready.
All right, we will do it. We'll schedule an IG later on.
Yeah.
Yeah, but thank you again. I appreciate you guys so much. Tomorrow we're on day 22 of the 29-day love challenge. This has been amazing. We have Yasmin coming up on here and talking to us about styling tips. She's a stylist outside of New York City. And when I tell you her swag is amazing, it's amazing. So she's going to be telling us styling tips for men and women. So tune in tomorrow, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.
I'm out. Peace.